Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this 16-day session that I'm starting today. It's really good that you could join me at 8 o'clock today, 1st of August. I know I announced this talk about 2-3 weeks ago, and a lot of people were very excited and were looking forward to it. And many of you have messaged to me and said, you are interested to know more. So today is the start. The good news is that each day I will do at 8 o'clock, 8 to 8:15, about 15 minutes. And then I will also then convert it into YouTube and put it in my YouTube channel. So those of you who miss it, you can always go and watch it in YouTube. And so YouTube channel under Kathikesu Sivalingam. Please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Kathikesu Sivalingam, if you have not, so that you are able to then get the videos as soon as I post it. And once you get the videos, then you can actually copy it and send to the people, your loved ones, your friends, and all, because I think a lot of things that I'm going to share with you are things that you would like to also share with other people, right? Okay, so this 16 days, what I decided to do, I was thinking about many things to do. And I can talk on many areas and many things, but I thought today, this 16 days, I want to talk about the 16 prosperity that was talked about 500 years ago. It is not something new, right? In Tamil it goes Padanarum Petru Peruvalvu Valga. Okay, that means have 16 blessings in your life. Now, as I was growing up in my life, and I've always heard this in the weddings, in the weddings, they always say, when the people bless, the newly weds, they'll say, make sure you get 16 blessings, Padanaram Petru Peruvalvu Valga. So I've always thought, when they said you need to have 16 blessings, I thought 16 children. In fact, I was an MC for my friend's wedding, and being an MC, I also mentioned the same thing to him and said, I hope you'll have 16 children, without even realizing at that point in time, the prosperity is not about children. It's about the things that you must have in your life in order for you to have a complete life. Now, that is 16 prosperity. And a lot of people are not aware of it, or we might be aware of it, but we have forgotten it. So what I thought was this 16 days to share with you this prospect. Now, I'm talking in English for the next 16 days, but I probably will do a Tamil session and record it and put it in YouTube. That's why I say go to YouTube channel and please subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I might not do a live session, but I might record it in Tamil and put it a Tamil series for the 16 prosperities. Yeah, I might do that as well. I'm planning to do that, but I will find some time to do that. Okay, so what we're going to do is, starting today, we're going to talk about 16 prosperities. Now, before we talk about 16 prosperities, I want to tell you that in Tamil, they call it Selvangal, Padanaram Petru Peruvangal, Selvangal. But Selvangal is also looked into as different types of prosperity in our life, Just for you to know, the prosperities were introduced, because it's not fair for me to talk about it when I don't tell you who came up with this, right? This, according to my research, basically the first person who came up with the 16 prosperity is somebody by the name of Kala Mega Pattar, Pulavar, Kala Mega Pulavar. Kala Mega Pulavar was a poet in, this was in 15th century. He was the first one who spoke about 16 prosperity. Then subsequently, there was another person, her name is Abhirami Pattar, and Abhirami Pattar also spoke about the 16 prosperities. There's a little bit of difference between the two of them, but it basically sums up the whole 16 prosperity. So I think it is important for you to understand whatever I'm going to share with you is based on this, Kalamega Pulavar and Abhirami Pattar, who spoke about this many hundred years ago. Okay, I think 400-500 years ago. And I'm here to share with you the 16 prosperity. Now, if you ask anybody now, you ask somebody, what kind of life do you want? What do you understand with prosperity nowadays? What people will tell you? Big car, big house, big wallet, big bank account, big ring, big wife. A lot of people go into this prosperity in terms of big. We all go through. I grew up in life also. I was thinking, I must have this car, I must have that house, I must. But as you get older, I guess you probably need to look. You tend to look at a lot of other things like health, like about your children and whatnot. So because of that, I think this is very relevant for you to know that in the ancient days, that it has already been told that these are the 16 prosperity everybody should have in their life to have a complete life. So before the end of life, I think it's good if you have the 16 prosperity. And let me start off with today's prosperity. Prosperity. Now, maybe I'll run through the 16 prosperity just to recap. Now, if you've watched my poster in Facebook or my poster, you would have actually seen that I've already indicated that. But I just want to tell you the 16 prosperity. I'm going to cover it in that order, as well as the poster I put in Facebook. Today, I'm going to talk about education. Tomorrow, I'll talk about knowledge. Then I'll talk about longevity, long life, dexterity, youthfulness, bravery or valor, respect, goal, wealth, fame, land, property, children, good children, character and your surrounding, good health, perseverance, and only number 16, success. So these are the 16. So today we'll talk about prosperity number 1. This is not the order. This is what, when I did my research, it came out that way, so I've taken it that way. But this is not the way of importance. It's not like, oh, education is the most important and goal is not so important. Nothing like that. It's just, if you can have all the 16 prosperities, it's really good in your life. And I think it'd be a good objective for all of you to look at how I can have individually of this 16 prosperity. Let's talk about the first one today. So today's prosperity is about education. If you are educated, it is considered as a prosperity for you. Okay. Now, I think olden days, I think there's a bit of a difference here. I think 500 years ago, when you talk about someone who's educated and they are considered highly respected, someone who can read and write. In fact, when someone can read and write, he's known as an educated person. Those days we watch movies, or you look at ancient, history, you'll say that, oh, he can read and write. Oh my God, he's educated. Because those days it was just reading and writing is someone who is educated who can do that. So olden days it was read and write. So why education was important those days was you're highly respected. In the palaces, the kings will always give lots of gifts for the people who are educated. Also because when you're educated, you can seek knowledge. And a lot of these people who can read and write are the one who can read, scriptures, who can read, a lot of this, news about many things, and they'll advise the king. So education is very important. Okay, today's world, education is still important, but in a different context. Today's world, if you have an education, that means it's easier for you to get a job. If you have an education, there's a certain status symbol for you. If you're educated, not educated. If you educated, even marriage, and people will say, no, I want an educated son, or I want a educated daughter, or no, daughter-in-law or son-in-law, and I would want them to, be someone who has got a master's degree or PhD and so on and so forth, right? In fact, when someone is educated nowadays, there's a lot of respect for the family and for the person himself. In fact, the education gives them a lot of this, how shall I say, confidence. So, in fact, I even wrote down, I say, why is it called a prosperity? Why is education called a prosperity? Of course, like I mentioned to you, those days when you can read and write yourself, you're not considered as educated, and therefore you have a higher status. Today, of course, if you're educated, means you probably have a degree or a master's or a PhD, and people like I embarked into I have done my MBA and I embarked into my PhD, and people are like, wow, my God, you're doing PhD. So the education is automatically given that kind of credibility, But why is it known as a prosperity? Because we are talking about the 16th prosperity, right? Why is education seen as a prosperity those days and even now? Number 1, respect. Because when you're educated, people respect you somehow or other. It's like when you tell, oh, my parents are not educated, you see immediately, or you say, oh, my parents were lecturers, or my parents, both have double degrees, So the education carries that kind of respect. Good or bad is one thing, but I'm talking about the respect comes in. So I think sometimes for the self-worth, you need to have that, right? When you're educated, you tend to read books. You tend to do research. Like now, if you're not educated, you would not know how to use social media. I have people who say, Mr. Kathi, I'm very impressed with your talks. I heard about it. I want to go, oh, you are into Facebook. Or no, I'm not good in computers. I'm not good. See, when they're not educated, they tend to shy away from social media. They shy away from a lot of things. So education allows you to seek knowledge. That's why it's a prosperity. Because if you have that kind of education, you are gathering more knowledge, seeking knowledge. I already told you, education gives you status. Education gives you confidence. There's always a difference between two people. I mean, I'm talking about the majority here. When someone is educated, can speak well, speak good English or speak good Bahasa or speak good Tamil, whatever, educated in their language, yeah, people tend to, wow, especially English nowadays, right? Even to get a job, you need a good English, right? I mean, nowadays a lot of people say, oh, yeah, this guy, this guy, can't even speak proper English. No, what education here? You see, so education carries that kind of thing. So it is so important for you to understand that meaningful outlook in life. Why education is considered as a prosperity is because when you're educated, your outlook is different, because you read newspaper or you read a lot of things, you read articles, your outlook of life is different. I know a lot of not so educated people even want to travel will think twice, but someone who's educated is seeking knowledge. You want to go here, you want to go there, you want to travel, you want to see this, you want to see that. The reason is because the educated people have this hunger. That's why sometimes it's very important for you to, if you have children, who are educated and not educated, you can see the difference. Majority of the time, I'm always talking about the majority here, right? You'll find that people who are educated have got this kind of urge of wanting to come up in life as compared to the one who are not. Yeah, I'm not saying anything wrong about it. I'm talking to you why education is considered as a prosperity. Yeah, education allows you to develop your talent. I'm an accountant. I studied accountancy, but it allowed me to now go into training programs, going into financial knowledge, into going into health programs, going to Ho'oponopono, law of attraction. See, because I'm educated and it allows me to broaden my scope, develop my talent, to become a training speaker. I've spoken in India in front of, I think, how many people? 38,000 people in a stadium. I was invited to speak. And it's I've spoken in Senayan Stadium in Indonesia in front of 17,000 people. I've spoken in Philippines in front of a couple of thousand people. But that happened because I'm educated. I seek knowledge. I develop myself, and so education allows you to have that kind of a growth that comes in. Okay, and of course, I think in the modern days, education allows you to have job and promotions as well, isn't it? So I think in that sense, it's very powerful. So education is always seen as a prosperity because of that from those days and even until today. But today we don't look at education as a prosperity, but it is one because it allows you. I would look at it in terms of developing a talent, which is more important than anything else. Because there are a lot of educated people also could be high-nosed, and there are a lot of educated people could also be not the type of person that you want to think of as someone who's got a prosperity. But being a type of person who has the education, it is believed is as a prosperity, and one of the 16 you must seek. My personal life, let me finish off today's talk with my personal life. My parents were rubber tappers. Both were not educated. My dad, I think, was from standard 2 or standard 3, whatever, so he can read. And yeah, he can write as well. My mom was totally illiterate. She cannot read, she cannot write. So even when we were younger, all of us, brothers and sisters, we used to read newspaper for my mother to know what is being read. So obviously you can see the education, because she's not educated, there's so many things she could not seek. She could not seek the knowledge. Nowadays, everybody reads and writes nowadays, right? I'm talking about when, my mom's days, yeah? So education was relevant for sure. And then, but one of the things they did, which I realize now is so relevant, is because though they were rubber tappers, they were in the estate, but there are 12 of us, brothers and sisters, and they made sure all of us are educated. All 16 of us are educated. 12 of us, 16. 12 of us are educated. And nobody's in the estates now. Nothing wrong with the estates. I'm just talking about that everybody is elsewhere, everybody is doing well, and everybody's, have got a good job, and everybody's doing. But because my parents have always made sure that we get educated, because when we got educated, we decided to seek greener pastures. So that's where the education becomes relevant, you see. So it's important for you to understand the power of that education, right? And why it is so relevant. Okay, so it is really, really important for you to understand that part of it. So I can tell you that education has done that. I want to give you another example about why education, why important, and why is it a prosperity. I was working in Bank Negara as an auditor, and when I joined Bank Negara as an auditor, I'm a graduate, right? So I joined in as an accountant, officer level. We're known as administrative officer, but officer level with a higher pay. But when I was there and I had a really good boss, and my boss at that point in time, he wanted to develop the clerks, the office boys, the clerks, and all in the office who are not so highly educated. They are either SPM leaver, STPM leaver, and wanted them to be educated. So I'm an accountant. So what he said was, Karthik, can you coach them every Saturday? Saturday is a half a day working day. Can you coach them every Saturday on accounting so that they can actually come up in life? So I had during my 10, I think it was about, I was there doing that for about 2 years. And I was, every Saturday, I used to teach all races, Indian, Malay, Chinese, all races, people who are clericals. They were given permission by their different departments to come for my classes. And I used to teach them accounting so they can sit for the LCCI exam, London Chamber of Commerce exam, sit for the ICSA exam, in I think Institute of Chartered Secretarial, ICMA exam, Institute of Chartered Management exams. And today I am very proud to say that, that because of that, I know a lot of people who have moved on. They've got their ICSA or LCCI or ICS MA graduates. Many of them have left Bayanagara. Some of them are in Bayanagara. They are managers today, or they moved out. I have one lady I know who's a training consultant now. I have one lady who's actually a big shot in Bursa now, Malaysia. So this is because they were clericals, they were office boys and whatever, but they decided to educate themselves. My boss, the reason why my boss in Bank Nagara had that idea is because he joined Bank Nagara as an office boy, a dispatch clerk. He joined as a dispatch clerk, but by the time he retired from Bank Nagara, he was one of the assistant governors of Bank Nagara because he is one of those who was continuously seeking education. And that's why I'm telling you today why I think 500 years ago, they've already decided that education is definitely a prosperity, because it gives you that growth in your life that nothing else will give you. Okay? So even now, when I talk to my children, I will tell my children, I say, listen, you know what? It doesn't matter what you become in the future, whether you want to be a lawyer, doctor, engineer, whatever, that's your choice. But I want you to make sure you've got a degree. Because if you have a degree, people will respect you. Your children will respect you. You don't want your children to grow up thinking and telling, oh, my father is not educated. I'm proud of my parents, but when I say this, I don't say anything like, my parents are not, educated, illiterate. I don't mean that way. But I do know that in a given current scenario, I think it's important that, your children are also educated so that they will find that, they have the respect for their own children as well. It's just one of the prosperity out of the 16 prosperity. And I'm going to talk to you tomorrow about wisdom or knowledge and wisdom tomorrow. And how do you get knowledge and wisdom if you're not educated? How do you get knowledge and wisdom if you don't know how to read and write? So that's why I think education is number one, where you can read and write. In a given scenario, you must have a degree, even a diploma or something, or at least you must seek knowledge. In fact, what I will tell all of you here is, if you have children that after Form 5 they don't want to study, after Form 6 they want to study, I think you should encourage them that they continue at least into a degree level. Now, even if they say, no, I want to work, fine, work to part-time studies, because now you can do so many part-time, but make sure they actually get a degree, because education is definitely one of the prosperities everybody should have. So with that, thank you for being with me today. I'll see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock, and tomorrow I'll talk about knowledge and wisdom, which is the prosperity number 2 that I want to share with you tomorrow. Okay? So I hope you liked my talk today, and I hope you can join me again tomorrow and also for the next 15 days. Okay? So thank you very much for joining me. May God bless all of you. Please be safe and take care of yourself. Bye-bye.